welcome back to Shemsuniverse. So today, guys, we're going to go over the challenge numbers of 1 through 9. Unlike with Pinnacles, I'm not going to go through if you have the challenge number in the first part of your life or second part of your life, just simply because it's the same definition across the board. A master number cannot be a challenge number, and put quite simply, a challenge number is simply the number that you get is going to have a negative connotation to your life, meaning it's going to be a negativity that you're going to have to overcome. Now, we're going to go into that in detail in this video in a moment, but I'm going to leave the description on how to actually calculate each challenge number in each segment of your life in the description below. So just make sure you look at my description if you want to know how to calculate it. And if you're still having issues with that of any sort, just hit me up in my DM at Shemsuniverse on Instagram, or just leave a comment for me below. So let's get right into it. So the first challenge number is going to actually be 0. And if you have 0 as a challenge number, which is quite common, that means that it doesn't mean that you're kind of like off the hook and there's no challenges that are going to come for you. There definitely is. And the 0 is very similar to the infinity. And what this means is that you need to infinitely look into your experiences and see yourself within them. You have to understand that life is a mere reflection of yourself when you have 0 as a challenge number, and that you're being challenged to actually see the right perspective and have a lot of self-awareness. So this comes down to having the right perspective. The negative connotation of it typically is that people will blame others when they have 0, and they won't really see that it's themselves that's causing situations. All right? Moving on to number 1. So number 1, what we have is somebody, no matter what part of your life you're in, whether you're 25, 5 years old, 35, 60, 70, whatever, if you have the 1 as a challenge number, it means that you have a problem being assertive, being self-assured, having confidence, and you're being forced to go against the crowd. You need to understand that the people around you are going to have a sort of sheepish view of the world, and you need to overcome that by having your own independent view of the world. And until you're able to do that, you're going to experience problems throughout your life. So the number 1 way to do this is to actually learn self-confidence through projecting competence in what you do. Find something to specialize in, get confidence within that, and that will lead to achievements. Once you have those achievements, it's going to be a lot easier to get other achievements and manifest more in your life. Moving on to number 2, if you have number 2 as a challenge number, this would simply mean that you're somebody who is affected emotionally very much. And it means that you're somebody who has a lot of sensitivity towards the world around you, towards the people around you, and you're very, very sensitive to criticism. What you need to do is have more of an internal locus of control. The 2 is all about one-on-one relations and kind of group dynamic in a sense as well. So what you want to look at more so is having an internal locus of control. That's the key word for you guys, the key phrase. If you're able to internally process your emotions, internally come up with your own thoughts, you're not going to have a problem with 2 as a challenge number. The challenge that 2 is going to give you is going to put you in negative circumstances with negative people and negative environments in which it's going to force you, well, at least try to force you to be negative. If you're able to overcome that by actually seeing through it, looking past it, you're going to have a lot easier of a time in the future. But you need to find that self-identity, that centeredness within yourself, and then you'll be able to overcome the challenges that the number 2 offers. Moving on to number 3, when we have number 3 as a challenge number, that means that we're our own self-critic. We're the worst critic of ourselves, overly judgmental. It means that we're afraid to let off a creative outlet. We're not trying to show off. We don't want to perform. Maybe even have stage fright. Like I said, it's all the negative side of these numbers. It's not going to be the positive things. The way to get the positives out of this is to overcome those fears. And the fear with the number 3 is that you're not good enough, that people are going to criticize you, and that maybe your performance and your achievements just won't be worth anything. So you need to actually identify what's important to you, understand that you are an authentic person that's going to have your own sort of blueprint that you bring to the world. And then once you see that, once you see what you want to draw, what you want to conceptualize, that's when you're going to actually be able to manifest more things in your life and be able to really see things through to the fullest. So really identify what your vision is, what your dream is, what your fantasies are. Separate them, compartmentalize them, and understand that you can bring them to reality if you're able to actually have that self-assuredness, have that confidence, and actually project your creativity. People are going to appreciate it, and you do have the creative side of the 3 there as well. If it's there as a challenge, that means that whatever is being hindered also has potential. Everything that's negative has a positive. We're in a very binary universe, meaning good is bad, bad is good. It's contradictory. So if you have 3 as a challenge number, that means you also have the gifts of the 3. That means you can become famous. That means you can become artistic. That means you can look into the creative sphere for as a career as well. But you gotta find the positives in it by overcoming the negatives first. Moving on to number 4. When we have number 4, that means that we hunt for security and a solid foundation, but we're disorganized and not very disciplined, because the 4 usually is very disciplined, very organized. You need to get those viewpoints of the 4, understand the lesson of the 4 is to actually become organized, and then having that organization in your life is going to create stability. With that stability, you're going to be able to have self-assurance to then create security for yourself, get a good career, maybe get a good spouse, start a family, have good credit, all the economic things as well. But you need to first get organization. That's the key for the 4, is to organize your mind, organize your routine throughout the day, what your habits are, avoid addictions, and then organize what you want to actually do with your life in regards to a career path. Once you're actually able to separate these things and really look at things in a very clear and concise way, then the path will become more clear. Another thing with the number 4 is that number 4s, when it's on the negative side, they may, if they're disorganized, view their dreams as something that can become a reality when they're not even organized or disciplined enough to make them a reality. So you have to understand that what you conceptualize in your mind as a great vision of having a mansion, Lamborghini, maybe a waterfront house, whatever, you need to first ground those thoughts. And like the number 4 would, the number 4 is like the 4 corners of the earth. It's a very earthly number. It grounds everything. And when you can make a firm grounding for your vision and then actually make a competent plan to see it through, and then you follow that narrative, you can achieve all of those things. But if you're not willing to go through the suffering through your desire, you're not going to achieve anything. Moving on to the number 5. The number 5 has a lot to do with just hunting for freedom a lot. Positively, the number 5 is great because it makes people very creative, very daredevilish. When on the negative side, it makes you want freedom, but you fear your association with that said freedom, because freedom means that you have unlimited options. And people that have the number 5 as a challenge number tend to not be very good when it comes to having a lot of options. Their decision making is quite poor. So if you have a challenge number of 5, you need to look at your life as a series of choices and decisions that you're going to have to make each and every day. Am I going to drink a gallon of water today? Am I going to work out today? Am I going to make sure my hygiene's good? Am I going to say hi to my family? Am I going to show up to work on time? All of these things are choices, and these choices is what manifest as our reality. So if you're able to make the proper choices and actually really break down how your life is going, and then see as like it's a complete chain reaction of your thoughts, of your words, of your deeds, then you'll be able to break down your life and understand that you've always had freedom, but that freedom comes from the karmic relation of who you are as a person. Moving on to number 6. Number 6 just means that you're either overly nurturing or you were overly nurtured, meaning you were spoiled. The challenge here is that if you are overly nurtured, that means that you're not going to be used to the real world where there's harsh realities, where people are not going to pamper you, and you're just going to have to kind of toughen up to that. If you're overly nurturing and you were that tough person, maybe you were in an abusive household where you had to be a caregiver from early, when that takes place, you need to understand there's balance within everything. Some people want to be victims and they actually appreciate the attention that you're giving them. And when you meet and come across those people are usually quite close to you. It could be a mother, a father, a cousin, uncle, relative, whatever, or a very close friend. You need to look and identify people for who they are objectively and not be so subjective. The 6 makes you very emotional, very nurturing, may always want to be of service to others. And when you have that sort of characteristic, it makes you very, very prone to getting taken advantage of. So you need to just make sure that you are looking at things from a correct perspective in respects to who people are, identifying what they actually want, and then if you can help them, then do that. But if you cannot, and it's an unbalanced relationship, then get out immediately. Moving on with number 7. Number 7 is usually about spiritualism, occultism, having that enhanced intuition. People that have the challenge number 7 have a challenge getting there. They usually have a challenge developing any sort of philosophy or ideology or religion, and they don't really seem to believe in anything, including themselves. And the problem here is that you need to set up a belief system through something that's going to be practical to your life. I'm not saying just go take up Buddhism or be a Muslim or be a Christian or a Catholic. What I'm saying is, if you have a challenge number of 7, your challenge is to come up with a belief system that's going to work and incorporate in your life in the correct manner. whether that be what you're watching through me with numerology or if it's something else that works. But you need to identify where your belief system is going to go and then follow the agenda and the narrative of that belief system. Once you're able to actually follow that and fully believe in it, then you're going to see drastic changes within your life. Moving on to number 8, we have number 8 now, which is all about the money, the power, the Midas effect, the manifestation. When we have number 8 in that position, what this simply means is that you're somebody who you really will overly indulge in the money, power, and greed and really neglect the spiritualism, just like with the 7. And people with number 8 either really fold under the pressure, they kind of have that bench press there and it's a challenge number and they just let it just sink on their chest and completely destroy them, or they're going to be so overly obsessed with money and have this compulsive need to always have more and have this wolf sort of mentality that they actually neglect other parts of their lives. When they do achieve success, it just means nothing because they have nobody to really share it with. There's no harmony within their environment, and they've probably screwed some people over along the way. Eights will make they'll get ahead through unscrupulous ways, through being very devious, being very deceptive. And you need to understand that in order to have good karmic balance, you need to, of course, have money and, of course, have that wealth as well if you want to survive well on this planet. However, if you neglect the spiritual side of things, you neglect the need for friendships and family and having proper relations and really just being able to live with yourself, having that conscience, having that line that you will not cross, having principles, you're not going to be happy no matter how much money you do get. It's never going to be enough, and you're going to actually incorporate more problems in your life in the process. So the challenge here is to find balance between spiritualism and materialism and see that fine line between what's good and bad. The 8 has 2 circles. It's all about duality. You need to understand the duality of our universe and balance these things in order to see through success. The last one is number 9. Number 9s tend to, on the negative side of things, be very angry, very they could be very bold, but they're very, very ideological in the sense that they're very self-righteous. And when you have the 9 as a challenge, it means that it's hard for you to see things from other people's viewpoints. You kind of want to be rigid and just see things in your own viewpoint. The problem with that is people might find you overbearing. People might not actually be truthful with you because they don't want to argue all the time. When you're around an angry, hot-headed person, you tend not to talk back to them. You tend to kind of withdraw and not really want to be in opposition to them. Even over simple matters, people will just lie and deceive you. And this is going to anger you more when you find out. So, when you have 9 there as a challenge, your job is to actually guide the positive sides of this, be the philanthropist, the humanitarian, the person that has that general sort of persona, that really hardcore warlike persona, but also have a gentle side to you as well, and have a side that can really receive love and then give it as well. Once you're able to do that and see the fine line between being this sort of warlord and also being a philanthropist, you'll start seeing a lot of drastic changes in your life through your relations and through your networks. It's going to make you more money. It's going to get you better family, better connections. All of these things are going to come into play, but you first have to see yourself in the mirror clearly for who you are and see through this challenge to the fullest. All right, so that should conclude it, guys. Like I said, I'm going to leave the calculations for how to get each of your 4 challenge numbers in the description below. I'm going to be moving back onto astrology in regards to the planets in the signs starting tomorrow. But I just really want to cover the challenge numbers within numerology before going right back into astrology, just so you guys have a very clear understanding of what's going on in regards to how challenge numbers incorporate in your life and not confusing them with pinnacle numbers. But that should be it for today. If you guys do have any questions, just leave it in the comments for me. Aside from that, guys, please like, subscribe, all of me. That's it for today, guys. Peace.